Hi, this is Charlie. So let's go ahead and take a look at the week two Get Numbers assignment. Get Numbers. Right now it looks a little different on my system than it will on yours, but I'll publish it by the time you get this video. And you'll come here and you'll find that there's two links, one of which is to an assignments repository, which you'll use quite a bit, and one is to the particular assignment that we're working on. Let's go to the assignments repository first, and it takes you here, and you can see there's a little README here, and it includes the link to this URL. That's this URL, which was the one we just clicked on right here. And then it also shows how to get a read-only copy of this repository. You don't need to set up SSH in order to use this repository. So we'll go to some place on our hard drives, pick a location that you can clone the repository. You probably want to have a permanent place on your system where you will have a clone of this repository. I obviously do, but I'm showing what it'll look like on your end. And then you paste in that URL and you press enter. There's nothing else to it because you don't need to get SSH set up in order to do this. When you're done, you'll have the Prog 272 assignments folder. And inside of there, there'll be this week 02 Get Numbers project, which we can also see up here by going to the week 02 Get Numbers project. And it has a README in it. And that README summarizes most of what I'm saying right now as we're talking, okay? So you have both the README for the project itself, which is sort of the directions for the project, and also this video. So when you come in here, you'll take a look at the files that are in here, and you'll see there's a grunt file, a karma file, a package file, none of which you need to touch. The README, which you want to read, but it's easiest to read it online. That's where you'll get the syntax highlighting and everything to see it. So you'd want to read it up here like this, because I'll try to do that for all of them. If I do something special with these, and you get syntax highlighting even for the code that I provide. That's very cool. I didn't know that. Okay. Now, in order to get started, type npm install, and this will go ahead and install your libraries. And this is when that node modules folder gets created. And you don't ever want to check that node module file in, okay? The greatest of all dark sins would be to check in your node modules file in order folder. So there it is now. And if you look at it, it's got a lot of stuff in it. These are all big nested folders. There's lots of stuff. So you want to make sure that when you go back to the root of your repository, that when you look at it, it's got a gitignore file in it. And when you take the look at the gitignore file, you want to make sure that it has the word node modules in it. Okay, now, so you've now got a copy of this project of the week 02 Get Numbers assignment. And then what you want to do is bring up, let me take you that from the beginning. You would bring up the equivalent of the Windows Explorer, the little, what do they call it here? What do they call it here? The PC Man FM is what they call it. And it's your file browser. And you're going to go to the place where you pulled down the repository and grab a hold of week 02 Get Numbers and copy it. And then you want to go to your repository. So you would go to the Git folder and into your repository, and you would paste it in there. Now, since I've already got it in my repository, that's not where I'm going to put it right now. I'm going to put it in the WebStorms folder, and I'll just paste it in, which is what you need to do. So now you've got the project somewhere on your hard drive. It should be inside of your repository. And now the next thing you want to do is go over to WebStorm and open up this project. So you would go to wherever you placed it on your hard drive and choose open. And now you've got a copy of that project here. And you can see we've got the node modules folder in here now because I'd already done it. If you hadn't run npm install, remember to do it. Now there's two folders here we care about, one of which is called get numbers and one of which is called test. And these are unit tests which we will use to prove that you have properly implemented get numbers. And this is an incomplete version of get numbers. So when we go to the command line, let me move over to the right directory. And you'll navigate to a different directory on your system, obviously, since your copy of this folder will be in your repository. And then you'll be here. Here's the folder. And the first thing you want to do is type grunt karma. And when you do that, you'll get back a bunch of errors. And these errors show that there were 9 or 10 tests that were run here. This test passed. This test passed. This test failed. You never have to make this one do anything. Just when you complete everything, this test will start passing automatically. This test passed. This test failed. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, let's go back and look at the get number spec. And in here, we have a bunch of tests. And this describe section says, we're beginning a bunch of tests, okay, here. And this is a bad description of it. I'll update that. It's your get numbers tests. I'll try to make that change and remember to check it in so you don't have it. So here's a whole bunch of get numbers tests, and each one of these things is another test, okay? And you read this test like this. It proves true is true. And so the first line here is a description of the test. And then in here is the test itself. And this test expects true to be equal to be true. To be equal to true. So if we set it to false, and then we come back over here and we run our test with grunt karma, and we scroll up and look at the results, it says proves true is true, and it expected true to be false, so that test no longer passes. So let's make it pass, and let's come back and run our tests again, and then let's go look at the results, and this time you can see that test pass. It proved it true is true. Now the next test in here proves that get numbers is an object, and it's an object because it starts with a curly brace and ends with a curly brace. That's how you create an object in JavaScript. And so that test passes. Then this test says, does get numbers have 9 methods in it? And if we look over here, we can see it only has one method in it called get1, and it returns the number 1. So that test fails, and you don't need to worry about it. As you fill in all the other tests, you'll eventually write 12 methods in here. That's your assignment, or 9 methods in there. And when you do, then this thing will start passing. So then if we go back to look at our results again, you can see that here's a test that says get1 returns 1, and this one passed. And as you can see, here's the get1 returns. It calls the get numbers object. Here's the get numbers object, and it calls get1, and here's the get1 method. And it says that it should return the value 1. And as you can see, it does return 1. So now this test asks, does get numbers, calls the get2 method and expects it to return true. And here you can see there is no get2 method, and the method that doesn't exist doesn't return true too. So you would need to start defining more methods, and you separate each of them with a comma. And then you would go ahead and define other methods until when you run all the tests, they pass. For instance, I can go someplace else on my hard drive. I'm going to need to run install here. Sorry about this. And then we'll get this thing set up. And then once we do that, we'll run grunt karma, and you can see everything passes. So this is what you want to get things to do, and this is what I'm expecting to see once you check in your program when it's done. The other part of this program, there's a second part of this assignment, and it has you run grunt JS hint, and you can see here it's come back with no problems. But let's say that I'm going to open up another editor here just to do things with expediently here. I'm going to open up Genie, and inside of the source file, oh no, I can't do that, can I? Okay, I'll go back to the other directory, to WebStorm projects, Weco2 get numbers. I'll do grunt JS hint, and you can see it completes with no errors. So now I'll go up here to our source code to get numbers, and I'll take out the use strict definition here. And now I'll run grunt JS hint, and it comes back and you see there's an error. And in order to see the errors clearly, just type Firefox, and then you can see the errors are in result.xml. So you can bring up Firefox and look at it, and you will see here is the error that occurred. It says on line 6 in column 9, we're missing a use strict directive. So let's go back and fix that. Now, on line 6 in column 9, we have a use strict directive. So we'll come back here and we'll run grunt JS hint, and this time it comes back with no errors. And if we go over to the browser and press F5 to refresh it, we can see that we come back with clean. Now, to make sure that both things are happening at the same time, you can type grunt test, and that will run both the JS hint issue, which comes back clean, and the get numbers test, which right now fail. Now, one last thing, and then we'll be done with this video. There's another way you can run karma. Type karma start, okay? And now you can see we're getting back the results of our errors, okay, right in here. And I'll go into my code into get numbers spec, and I'll break this test. And now all I'm going to do is save it. I press Control S and I save my work, and then I come back here and the test got run again automatically. And you can see that test proves true is coming back false. I didn't have to do anything. The test just got run. So I'll come back and fix the problem and save it. Every time you save it, if you're running in this mode, then the tests get run again automatically. So you can kind of be in an interactive mode where you make some changes to your code here, and then you come back here and see if you're one by one getting all these tests to pass. When you're done with all that, Control-C gets you out of that. Okay, that's probably enough to get you rolling on this assignment. It's pretty basic. Later on, you're gonna learn about the grunt file and how you configure grunt and how you configure karma, but for now I'm just giving you all that. Package is also what happens when you type npm install, is this process gets this code right here gets processed. Okay, I'm all done. That's all I want to show you. Have fun with the assignment, ask questions in the discussion area. about this particular assignment. All right. Have a good time with this one now. Bye.